got a bunch of dirt in it. Think I'm not keeping it. Well, I might be stuck already. I need to get a really big socket for that, and I don't have one. Well, let's take off the valve body. There's the dirty stuff. So hopefully not many of you have seen this, because in about 97.5, Subaru got really smart and decided to put an external filter on their automatic transmissions. So it means you don't have to take this pan off and take the valve body off to be able to change out the filter. It's just a screw-on oil filter style tranny oil filter. So, love it. Here's the valve body. There is a filter in here, it's just a screen filter. Let's rip it off and take a look. So this is just kind of like a pickup screen. Kind of chunky, but not too bad. Bummer, lost them all. That's okay. So this is the valve body. So there's all these little trails and things that the fluid can pass through, and then there's these ball bearings that are kind of in the way. And those are what determine all of your shifting and everything. It's really confusing. And you have this plate that's in the middle. So when one of those BBs rolls over it, it stops flow to that passage onto the other side, and you get different gears and things like that. There are all the solenoids plugged into this side to monitor flow and pressure and all kinds of stuff, and that's how an automatic transmission knows what's going on. It's pretty crazy, pretty high tech, but kind of low tech still too. Park. Let me show you that closer. Oh, he's not. Cool. This gear here, shaft gear assembly, I don't know what it's called. Somebody drop a comment and let me know. This here gets direct power from basically the crankshaft, as long as the clutches in the transmission are engaged. And then you have this gear here turns to power this gear here, like that. And this shaft goes down to the front of the transmission down here, and it drives to the front differential. So this is how you're getting your all-wheel drive. So this gear here is always driving the front wheels. So if you remove this shaft and the front differential, you're gonna drop a ton of weight. It's a lot of rotating mass that you can ditch. And this gear sits down inside of this big gear set, which isn't actually a gear set, it's a clutch pack. These are all little clutches in here. Clutch packs. Perfect. So, whammo. So there, you can see that's your clutch. Is that crazy or what? That's what gives you traction. And just like on a normal clutch, on a manual transmission, there's just a bunch of them. You can see that it's shiny just like a pressure plate or the flywheel would be. And that's how each of them is. You have these exterior ones that don't have splines on the inside. They just have exterior splines that connect to this gear, which is the tail shaft. And then you have your clutch discs with whatever you want to call this. I'm just going to call this the clutch disc. And they have the splines on the inside, which connect to your output shaft, like that. So then this can spin up, and then the pressure and everything with the transmission fluid, and then when they squeeze them together enough and there's enough friction on them, it creates a solid gear. And so that's how it is all the way through, and there's just a ton of them. See? That whole thing comes apart, and you can see it's all kind of chunked up and falling apart. That's what the clutch packs do. Yeah, so this has a seal on the backside. It's rubbery, and then it has this big old spring to push this out so that there's pressure on it. That's why it popped when I pulled that first lock ring off, is that it pushed this out. So what I'm thinking, in order to go rear wheel drive, basically you need to get this gear and this gear to be solid. So there's a couple ways you can do that. Now the first thing, you could kind of take the whole clutch pack, clean it all off, and basically like weld it all together. So weld the little interior pucks, weld the interior ones to the exterior ones, and that would basically give you a solid solid shooter thingy. The other thing, which I might look into, I might have to draw it up, is to make this ring, basically, make it billet. So draw it up and then get it machined out of billet aluminum or even just stainless steel, and then it would be just a big, instead of being a clutch pack, it would be just another basically gear that you just shove right on here, and it'd slide on. This one's not going to slide on really easily for me, and then it would slide right into there and basically make this whole section solid. That's how you do a rear wheel drive automatic. Now a lot of you are thinking, why the heck would you want to do that? And frankly, I'm kind of with you on that. However, mostly just because, why not, right? I'm just kind of a curious person, and I want to know, why can't you make an automatic rear wheel drive? Well, you can. So in the future, I might have a automatic rear wheel drive Subaru. Stay tuned for that, because I know I'm going to at some point. I just don't know when. When you do convert to rear wheel drive, there's a lot of pressures on all of the components, because the components are designed and engineered to be all-wheel drive. So when you throw all of the power at just one end, things break. Now with my Legacy GT, the rear differential broke. That was the weak point, and that is the weak point in a lot of them. But once you upgrade that to like an R200, there's a good chance you're gonna blow out these gears and bearings in your 5-speed, these tail shaft bearings and gears. That's your next weak point. And so I have plans to just convert to a completely rear wheel drive manual transmission for my drift car. But it would be really fun to have an automatic that's rear wheel drive. My wife could do it, my wife could drift it, and it would be a really good way to learn how to drift. And not even to drift. I'm a big proponent of knowing how to drift so that you can have control of your car if it goes into a slide, just as a safety thing. One day, I was driving home in the winter. I was home from college and I was driving our family van. And I was just turning, it wasn't going fast or anything, slowing down for a turn to get to my house. And as I was turning, I turned the wheel and the car didn't turn because it was icy. And so it was really an instinct and very natural for me to just kind of, I don't know, just kind of kick it in and get the turn going and not just kind of freak out and slide into the house that I was kind of going towards on the corner. That has been a major thing for me, is that, hey, I didn't freak out, I knew exactly what to do, and it was natural for me to just correct what was going on with the car and get back in control. So that's one of my reasons why I think drifting, or at least going and playing around in parking lots and things like that, is a very useful skill. Now, it's not, don't be stupid about it, but it is a good skill to have. It's just a good tool. Without having to worry about shifting or anything, having an automatic rear-wheel drive, you just push your foot to the floor and then it breaks loose and you drift. It's a good tool to teach people how to control a car that's sliding. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Besides it being kind of stupid to have a rear-wheel drive automatic drift car, it would be a fun thing to do, and it would be fun to see how the H6 does, because it's got so much torque. It might just break things. But anyway, I'm rambling too much, and I know a lot of you are going to comment that this was really boring, but thought process, okay? That's how you get ideas across, and that's how you gain information, is by mulling it over. And so hearing me mull it over, hopefully that triggers some things within you guys to get some thought processes going and have you guys do some really cool stuff too. That's what I'm all about. Free information sharing. So that's gonna be all for now. I will have another episode of going through and pulling the rest of this apart. I just need to borrow a big socket set so I can take off this gear here and be able to pull the rest of the transmission apart and go through it. So stay tuned for that episode. That'll be up in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about a rear-wheel drive automatic Subaru. Keep it dirt cheap. I need to get in the dang, go buy some kitty litter today and clean out the garage, because that made a mess.